Why I sold half of my Tesla stock position last week. Good morning in the morning last week when I posted on social media that I sold half of my Tesla stock position. I received a lot of messages from my friends and I thought maybe it's an interesting topic for further exchange, especially in the comments for this Sunday. First of all, I have to say that the move itself that I sold half of my Tesla stock position for me was nothing really spectacular. But anyway, maybe it's interesting just to exchange about the thoughts, some of the thoughts I had behind this move. A lot of people asked me if it was because of the quarterly earnings report last Wednesday, because I sold on Thursday, and I have to say definitely not. For me, it's still the very beginning of an exciting future of the company Tesla, all the developments that might happen in future on this company, especially if you think on topics like sustainable energy, solar panels, the power walls, all that stuff. If you think on Tesla as a software company, or also if you think on the new gigafactories where they will be able to deliver even more cars and more cars in the future, the developments on the battery, if you see that the new Model Y produced in Berlin will have even a further range again, because of these new battery developments. And also for me as a customer, for example, which is also always interesting for me, would I buy as a customer a product of this company? Yes, definitely yes. I still love my Tesla Model 3 performance more than any other car. And so thankful for all that I can drive this car and for all that Tesla has developed so far. I think that's something. Of course, there are a lot of controversies on this topic, but for me, you know, I'm still a Tesla fanboy, which is also something very personally, and yeah, other people might have completely different opinion, of course. Sorry, you might see that there's a cut in the editing, but I wanted to add just one more thing. We could exchange in the comments more about that. The facelift of the Model S and X topic. It would be a whole different video topic, but I'm not so super convinced by this facelift. I still would prefer the interior of the Model 3 and Y. And this was also my personal reason why I said, okay, when I saw this, one of many other thoughts, for sure I forgot some in this video, but this was one of the thoughts when I thought, okay, maybe it's simply good to take profit and it's still one of my biggest positions in the portfolio. I always have to remind. Yeah. So, yeah, this was also a reason. I think it's really nice, the interior update, but I'm not so happy with having nothing to change the gears. So, like they want to make it this artificial intelligence that the car knows which gear you want to take, if you want to reverse or if you go to the front. You can overrule it somehow, but also with the indicator when you only have the buttons. I think I'm really open-minded for developments and this puristic design, and if you compare a Nokia phone with all these hard buttons to a smartphone, I think it's the same if you compare a BMW with all these plastic hard buttons and the modern design, puristic design with the big screen in the middle of these Tesla cars. Definitely nice update. I like that the screen now in the middle of the Tesla Model S and X is very much like the one in the Model 3 and the Model Y, also the design. But I'm not so sure if the steering wheel and the indicator buttons are really comfortable for driving. Yeah, I know it's also, I think, one more step in going into full self-driving as an idea. But anyway, I just wanted to add this. Yes. Much more you have to understand maybe some moves I made in the last weeks and some developments that happened in the last weeks. Maybe you saw my video of my top 5 stock positions, and also I have to add, maybe it's good if you watch this if you haven't seen it before, because then you can understand my thoughts maybe even better for further exchange, what I'm always looking forward a lot, as you know. But still, Tesla is one of my 5 biggest stock position, also after I sold 50% of my Tesla stock position. So in the last video of my asset allocation, also a video that would be maybe interesting for the exchange to compare, I said I always want to have 30% cash ratio, just for case that stock market is going down, that I see an opportunity and so on, because it makes me sleep much better. If I have this 30% cash ratio, I think, okay, that's cool that the stock market is going down because I see discounts. There is an opportunity. But if I'm too much into the stock market, I cannot take this opportunity and I will lose the money during the stock market is going down too much. And so, yeah, this is some thoughts behind. And in the last weeks, I even increased my stock position, which is also one of my top 5 stock positions, and the Apple shares. Because I simply love Apple as a company as well, and they also pay at least some dividend. And you know, I'm always interested in a dividend strategy, buy and hold dividend strategy on the long term. So in general, I thought, okay, maybe I should just take some profit because, you know, I made more than 1000% profit on the Tesla shares. So for some, this would be the annual income I just made in this month already by realizing the profit since last month or since August when I bought. You have to understand, for me, I cannot even say exactly which amount was the profit I made by selling this. It must be something about 38,000 euro I made profit. I made gains on this move. But I bought the Tesla stock position in August 2019 when I ordered my Tesla Model 3. Then I sold part of it in last February when they really rise very, very fast with the price. And then I purchased again, or I increased the position again in March when there was the crash and went all the way up again. So yeah, simply thankful for that. But also, you know, it's not only this. You always have to talk about, there are also other positions that went in the completely different direction. Yeah. So anyway, I thought, okay, reduce it a little bit, move a bit more into more conservative dividend stocks. I already bought, I already increased my stock position on Apple shares and some other positions in the last weeks. So yeah, and my cash ratio went below this 29% in the last weeks. And of course, there is always a limit somewhere. Everybody has a different limit for sure. But yeah, somewhere is a limit for the portfolio and for the asset allocation. So you have to balance somehow in some situations. And also, I think at the moment in general, it was a great last year since I made these massive purchases in March and moved very much into the stock market from my asset allocation. But I think now prices went up very much, and sure, it's a completely unpredictable future, especially because of all this support from the governments, from the central bank. But we don't know how economy will develop in the next months, also how the pandemic situation develops and so on. So I'm not so much interested in increasing at this moment my ratio on the equity portfolio. Maybe I increase a bit more on P2P in the next weeks, but only a bit, because I want to have about 100,000 euro in P2P, and also I want to maybe add a new P2P platform, which is also a reason why I thought, okay, I want to have liquidity, because, you know, I'm very much interested. I really like the IBAN car company. I had a call with Alexander Melis last week about how IBAN car is doing and how their developments are and how their plans are for the future. And I'm really excited. Of course, also only my personal opinion, and you never know what really happens. And I want to continue investments in these IBAN car loans. For example, meanwhile, they can pay out loans in time of 4 hours. Pledged by the car, because they can check the credibility, the worth of the car and so on that fast with their intelligent fintech software. So, you know, there are always so many opportunities in the market, let's say it like this. And Uvo platform is the only platform that offers these IBAN car loans at the moment for me as a retail investor. So maybe I open an account at Uvo in the next weeks. We already had a lot of talks about that in my P2P videos and in the comments below the P2P videos. So yeah, anyway, these were only some thoughts behind that. It's also, you know, I'm not talking too much about my health as long as I don't talk to my doctor, but in general, I have just to add that for me, the cold, wet weather we have in Vienna in the winter time is not what I like that much. I have my allergy when there is the heating on too much. I don't like the cold weather and so on. You know, I'm a guy who likes sunshine, palm trees, coffee. That's my and Tesla to drive under the palm trees. So this is and see the sea. Yeah. So this is just a dream, you know. And maybe one day I buy a second residency in some of the countries in Southern Europe. I don't know exactly the destination. Maybe it's also not the topic of this video, but you know, we are just talking in the morning and they have exchange and dreams and so on. Don't know what's going on like that, but there are four destinations in Europe I would like, also because they are very much in the south. This is one is Marbella area. Second one is Ibiza, third one is Mallorca, and fourth one is Cyprus. So one of these four areas might be interesting for me. Maybe there's even another destination at the end I will take. But why, for example, Marbella? I have been to Marbella with Alex when we made this P2P trip, when I made the research on the real estate project in Estepona, which is very close to Marbella. Also when we visited Alexander Melis, who has the office in Fuengirola, Ibanka CEO, the Ibanka company. And I really like this area. Also it is on the continent, so you could go there, maybe not fast because it might take 2 days at least from Vienna to drive there with the Tesla and back. But everybody might say, okay, you would take the plane for sure. Yes, definitely. But for transport of furniture, maybe if you move it between the residencies, maybe one day there is a pandemic and there are no flights and you simply really want to go back to Vienna. So, you never know what happens. And I think that it's on the continent and also a great infrastructure, great streets and so on. You know, also this lifestyle, Puerto Banús. Walk there in the evening, watch the yachts, have dreams. When there is winter, in Austria it's rainy, there it's sunny, 20 degrees. Walk in the evening in the harbor, that would be something I could like and would also be some further inspiration maybe for my life. On the other hand, Ibiza, you might laugh, but I've never been in Ibiza right now, but as far as I saw it on the videos, it seems also to be a very, very nice island. But I think it's much more complicated to reach this destination, especially in low season, so like in winter. Because there are not so many flights like there would be from Vienna to Malaga, and also the flights in wintertime might be much more expensive. I mean, of course, now it's a very, very special situation because of the pandemic, and I hope it's not the same in 1 or 2 or 3 years, probably. But whatever. I think it's much more complicated to reach this destination, because if you think on some super rich guys that go there with the private jet, like Niki Lauda, who went every Friday afternoon with his private jet to his residency on Ibiza, and on Sunday evening he went back. This is nothing possible for me. Of course, always have dreams, but yeah, also you have to be somehow realistic for the moment. So this might be complicated on Ibiza for a second residency. Also in the south would be Mallorca, but you have to see that Marbella area is even more in the south, so the weather in the winter time might be even brighter. You have higher temperatures, more sunshine than on the Balearic Islands, for sure. And still it's not so far to fly for a flight. Yeah? That's also a reason why I want to stay in Europe, because you know, in Europe we have this roaming where you can have calls and your contract from wherever you want and have no additional costs in my contract. You have the health insurance that is working in the whole European Union and so on. So there are a lot of advantages if you stay in the European Union. But so what are the areas that are most in the south but still European Union, that's the question. Maybe you might say Gran Canaria or something, yes, but this is another story. There's a whole other story, because there you can't go by car. You can still go to the Balearic Islands by car because you can take the ferry, but it's not the continent. So anyway, don't want to talk too much about that, just talking about Sunday morning dreams. Let's go to the, what would be an advantage of the Balearic Islands? I mean, I know a lot of people already there. I know the area very well. I would like to have some apartment between Palma and Puerto Portals. I love this part of the island very, very much. Also great infrastructure there. So a lot of things are of course, for sure, interesting in Mallorca. On the other hand, I think if I go to another destination, for the beginning it would be much easier to rent something, not to buy. But in Marbella area, that's something I don't like there, because I already made some research, that everything I could rent is extremely expensive, or it's ugly. So this is the problem in Marbella area if you rent. There are some real estate that might be interesting to buy. So this is also the reason why I think cash ratio is not the worst, just if you find some opportunity. But yeah, at the moment it's still in this dream not to be realized that soon, I believe. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to talk. We can continue exchanges on the dreams as well in the comments. If I think on Cyprus, why Cyprus? Cyprus is, I think, best value at the moment for what you pay. So you can rent there really nice apartments for not so much money. Also, for example, Alex is living in Cyprus right now. You know, he's a good friend of mine, and I like to spend time. And it's always nice if you know people in the area where you want to have a second residency. And also, I think it's a very interesting community regarding YouTube investment and so on. Just right now, growing in Cyprus. I've been there last summer with Alex, and I think the weather is really good in winter time, and I like the area. But it's a whole different story to Marbella, because infrastructure in Marbella, of course, is not to compare to Cyprus. Marbella is much better infrastructure. It's much more developed already, but it's much more expensive. In Marbella area, I could just use my Tesla and drive around and don't worry too much about it, I think, because there are good parking and garages and good streets and so on. In Cyprus, I think it's better to have an old Jeep or something, yeah, because streets are not that well everywhere in the infrastructure and so on. But they are developing really great in the last time. But after this Corona situation, they will have a hard time. But maybe that's also interesting, because you can get even cheaper opportunities right now if you want to rent something, if you want to buy something there. So whatever. These are also some thoughts about my move of selling Tesla, or just keeping this cash ratio to use opportunities if it is after a crash, and have still good sleep and see the opportunity and not worry because you lost a lot of gains. And it's simply sometimes good to take some profits. And also, if you see the valuation of the company Tesla, I mean, it's just a crystal ball for me. It's really crazy. I mean, it's crazy what they are developing, but it's also crazy their valuation. Yeah, and I simply think it's good to keep this diversification. And yeah, so this was my decision. But maybe if it is like last year in February and March, maybe in a few weeks, if the stock continues to go down, it's even now it already went a little bit down. So maybe if prices of Tesla shares are much lower, I might purchase again like I did it last March. So then thank you Tesla for the gains. Anyway, I hope this video was okay, and I wish you a very, very nice Sunday. If you watch it on Sunday, I wish you all the best, and like always, looking forward exchange in the comments. So yeah, this time just some crazy investment. Bye bye.